Why is it that men are allowed to be chubby and have a potbelly and even get praise for it from both women and men? But when it's a woman who isn't skinny, she gets shamed? Why is it that men get to be irresponsible, dumb, reckless, convicted felons?
He's an idiot. He's just an idiot. When Donald Trump was president, I remember crossing that threshold into the Oval Office. And not only was this guy not bringing his A game, he didn't have a game. He was winging it. And she puts the president on speakerphone, and he says that down at the border, he wants to explore what it would take to build a moat. And he goes off on this tangent talking about how we should actually get snakes and alligators and fill this 2,000-mile moat on the border with reptilian creatures, so that if someone falls into the moat, they're facing the threat of snakes and alligators. I mean, we're just laughing. You can't make this shit up.
Corrupt, money-hungry thieves and still get to be presidents and world leaders. Yet women have to have the perfect record, personality over qualified skills, and even looks to even come close to being allowed any sort of political power, or any power in general. So when men do things like this, scream, waste food, and make a huge mess, they're just having fun, and anyone who complains is called a killjoy Karen. But when women do things like this, singing and dancing to a literal concert film, we're called annoying and told we're behaving inappropriately. When Jackie Chan does his own stunts, he gets called the GOAT and a legend. But when Michelle Yeoh does her own stunts, she gets overlooked and people only focus on her age and her looks. All these things aren't just double standards, they're male privilege.
30 years ago when I did Basic Instinct, Michael Douglas made $14 million and I made $500,000. Last year, there was a $100 million film being made by a studio, and the actor who was new was going to be paid something like $8 or $9 million. Someone we don't really know, and the studio offered me again $500,000 to be the female lead. And I thought 30 years later, this is still happening. So I didn't think it changed much.
Google the richest women in the world, like where they got their money from. It's rough. It's rough out there, guys.
I want to talk about it being tough out here, because we can talk about it being tough out here. I'm going to tell you something that if you don't know will absolutely blow your mind. And I'm going to need you to stay with me because this affects you even if you don't think it does. Worldwide, 2% of venture capital funding goes to women founders. If you're listening to this and you're not an entrepreneur, you're going to be like, okay, cool, I don't want to start a business. That's not a problem for me. How many times have we sat next to a man that's been like, oh, the gender pay gap doesn't exist. It's illegal. You can't be paid a different amount for the same job. And therefore, we do have gender equality now. Absolutely the not. If you look around and you look at your phone, you look at the software you're using, you look at the clothes you're wearing, I can bet that the very large majority of that will have been made because of venture capital funding. So you look at that list of richest women, right? You look at that list of richest men. What have they done? They have built companies, and they have built companies through getting venture funding. It is almost impossible to grow a big business without getting venture capital funding. And so don't even talk about this being like fucking tough out here when the playing field is so far from level. Earlier this year, when my two male co-founders decided to start a company with me, their chances of raising funding for that business decreased by 81.5% by just adding me as a co-founder. Adding someone, a whole person with a great education who's built successful businesses before, adding me to the co-founders decreased their possibilities of raising funding by 81.5%. Fine, you don't care about that. Let's talk about how this affects everyone. So first of all, we know that women-founded companies hire more women, they pay women more, they have more equitable policies for women. They also, statistically, in case you didn't know, far outperform male-founded companies when venture-backed. And even if none of those things come into your radar and you are absolutely fine with all of those things, then let me tell you that this funding gap is exactly why we are building a world for men by men. We talk about having gender equality. We talk about how far we've come. Yes, we've come so far. But it is things exactly like this funding gap, which mean that, for example, 97% of all of the scientific data we have on the human body, 97% is based only on men. How can you complain about something like the fact that the women who are richest in the world are richest by divorce? Do you know what got their husbands that money? Building companies. Statistically, women cannot even get close. So how about you stop whining about the fact that apparently these women want money when actually what they want is lowered barriers to entry so that they can build their own build a world that is actually made for them and grow economies. But before that playing field is even close to leveled, let's just not.
Men like Joe Rogan are going around lying that the richest women in the world got their wealth from divorcing their billionaire husbands. But the reality is that Mackenzie Scott, one of the richest women in the world and Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, was the breadwinner and often sole income earner in the family for over a decade. She worked to provide for her children and ex-husband and built Amazon with him after she finished work and put their kids to bed. She was the provider, the housewife, and his business partner. Jeff himself doesn't deny this. Their success was funded and supported by her. One could argue that she gave him half of what she worked to build in their divorce. She was entitled to half of their wealth. No judge would have ever said otherwise, and neither did her ex-husband. She also gave half of her wealth to charity, by the way. When male privilege isn't in the form of the gender pay gap, it's in the form of giving men easy access and shortcuts to wealth and success.
I'm sorry, is that Jeff Bezos?
It is.
Oh, you know him?
I mean, everybody knows him. He's a self-made billionaire.
What?
He's a self-made...
No, I heard you. It's just, he's not.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know he started Amazon as an online bookstore working out of his garage.
Do you know where he was working when he started the business?
I don't.
It was a hedge fund.
Huh.
And then his parents gave
We
him
all get a little help from our parents.
$100,000.
100? Okay.
And another $145,000 the next year.
Oh. But he did successfully build an online bookstore.
I mean, he had the money to pay software developers and people to write the code.
Well, he did a really good job growing it into something big.
He did also get $8 million in 1995 from Kleiner Perkins Caulfield and Bayer.
8 million?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's fair to say that Amazon did things better or more efficiently. They had a lot of cash on hand and they bought up their competitors.
Huh?
Yeah, the list of Amazon's mergers and acquisitions is over 100 lines long.
What?
Instead of competing for customers by offering the best products and prices, Amazon absorbed and purchased companies that occupied spaces in the market they wanted.
If you can't beat them, buy them.
Male privilege is also rampant in sports. A few months ago, male ski jumpers were rewarded with money, while the female ski jumpers were only given shower gel as prizes at a major ski jumping tournament in Germany. Male privilege is the pink tax, another form of the gender pay gap. The pink tax is the extra amount women pay for everyday products or services marketed towards women versus the same product or services marketed towards men. This study found that, on average, girls' clothes and toys cost 4% more than boys' clothes and toys, and women's clothes cost 8% more than men's. And women's personal care products cost 13% more than men's. So not only do men get paid more, but they get to pay less.
Chinese girls refuse to pay the paying tax. 粉红税 in Mandarin refers to the marked up prices for products that are pink or intended for girls. A black keyboard sells for 265 yuan, but the same keyboard in pink sells for 299 yuan. A black dumbbell costs 8 yuan after coupon, but the same dumbbell in macaron colors sells for 18 yuan. Compare these fleece jackets for couples. The one worn by the male model sells for 168 yuan, but the one worn by the female model sells for 199 yuan. Although women have to spend more money, women's wear is less functional and comfortable than men's wear. Women's summer clothing don't have pockets. Even if they do, the pockets are either sewn in or you can barely fit your fingers inside. The pockets in men's jeans can fit a whole laptop. The Chinese girls decided to just shop at the menswear section and save money on buying purses because all your stuff, including the thermos bottle, can fit into the pocket of your pants. The elastic waistband hides your belly, no more sucking in your stomach and no more watching your diet. Reasonable length allows you to squat without worrying about your private parts peeking out. Girls even add the keyword nan, which means male, to narrow down their search results for products only intended for men.
I saw this video that just irritated the hell out of me.
Who left this open? People can be watching us. It was just getting to the best parts, bro. Oh my God.
These two men mocking parents, we all know they're specifically talking about mothers and trying to depict them as paranoid. Apart from the blatant ignorance, it shows how privileged men are, that they never have to worry about stalkers and creeps watching them through the window because it's mainly just women who are targeted. Many women know and have experienced men who wish to harm them, standing outside their houses at night and watching them through the window. But men don't experience that, which is why they feel comfortable making jokes out of this issue. Here's another form of male privilege. Men getting more food just for being men.
Imagine ordering the same Chipotle meal but getting less food just because you're a woman. So it recently became a trend on TikTok where people started comparing Chipotle orders using a girl's name versus a guy's name, and somehow the guy's order always came out bigger. One user decided to test out this theory, and what she found was very interesting. She ordered 2 bowls, same ingredients, same everything. The only difference, one had a girl's name, the other a guy's. And while the girl's bowl looked decent, the guy's was clearly more packed, fuller, visibly bigger. But she wasn't done. She ran the test again. New Chipotle location, 2 more identical orders. This time, she brought a food scale. The girl's bowl weighted in at 685 grams. The guy's 714.
Wow. You should put a man's name for everything.
In Nigeria's criminal code, certain crimes committed against women are dismissed as misdemeanors, while those same crimes committed against men are felonies. Despite femicide being a huge issue in the country and throughout all of Africa. In Japan, women aren't allowed to be empresses. Only men could, and women were barred from being enthroned. In the city of Melbourne in Australia, statues of real historical women make up just 17%. There are more statues of fairies, mystical creatures, and animals than there are of women. Out of 561 statues in Melbourne, only 10 are of women. Male privilege is men being allowed to throw tantrums in public, have rage issues, and act as immature as they want. But when a woman does it, she gets called a crazy Karen. Male privilege is never hearing a man being called unlikable or having a resting bitch face. Male privilege is men instantly being believed when they're accused of rape and women instantly being called liars. Male privilege is only the mother being punished for having an abortion and getting harsher sentences than men who commit actual violent crimes. But the husband who also wanted the abortion goes scot-free. Male privilege is men being depicted as the perfect gentleman in films while being the complete opposite in real life. Male privilege is only boys being allowed to have an education in countries like Nepal, Nigeria, and Afghanistan. Male privilege is having dark skin being seen as an attractive trait in men, but is seen as unattractive in women. Male privilege is apps like Reddit catering to men and their misogyny and banning feminist accounts. Male privilege is women getting depicted as weak, victims, or damsels in distress, while men get depicted as strong heroes. Male privilege is Google describing the word womanly with things like this, while describing the word manly with things like this. Male privilege is saying she slept her way to the top, instead of saying men in power abused their power by withholding promotions and threatening demotions if they did not receive sex from their female workers. Male privilege has always existed. For centuries, men gatekept the knowledge that builds wealth. Oxford didn't give full degrees to women until 1920. Harvard? Not until 1945. Cambridge? Women could take exams since 1881, but weren't allowed degrees until 1948. And this wasn't just academia. It was financial gatekeeping. Why don't women invest as much? Because they weren't taught. Even today, according to the Fidelity Women and Investing study, only 19% of women say they feel confident investing. Only 15% of women were taught about building wealth growing up. Boys are more likely to be encouraged to take risks with money. Financial literacy was considered unladylike. Reading novels? Fine. Reading stock reports? Disgraceful. In the 1800s, women were literally told money matters ruin feminine virtue. Translation: stay ignorant, stay obedient. No education equals no legal power. Couldn't open a bank account without a man. Couldn't own or inherit property freely. Couldn't sign contracts. Couldn't vote. You can't fight a system when you're not allowed to read the rules. Educated women today still get talked down to. In finance meetings, women are interrupted 3 times more often. Thank you so much if you watched to this point. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.